The locksmith who opened my storage unit looked at me and said, "You're not the one who's been coming here. I've had that unit for 3 years. I go maybe twice a year. Once after the holidays to drop off decorations. Once in spring to pull them back out. I hadn't been there in 8 months." "Sorry, what?" I said. The locksmith, a guy named Pete according to his embroidered shirt, kept his eyes on the lock. "Someone's been accessing this unit pretty regularly. Last few months at least." "That's not possible. I'm the only one with a key." He finally looked up at me. "I'm not saying it's not your unit, ma'am. I'm just saying I've seen you here before, and you're not who I've seen." I had called a locksmith because I'd lost my key 2 weeks earlier. My husband Colin said he'd look for his spare, but kept forgetting. I finally booked Pete myself. Standard situation. Except Pete was now telling me someone had been walking in and out of my storage unit for months. "What did this person look like?" I asked. "Taller than you. Came in a gray Tacoma, usually around 7 p.m. on weekdays. Nodded at me every time like he owned the place. Colin drives a gray Tacoma. Colin gets off work at 5:30. I felt the ground do something strange under my feet. "Can you just open it, please?" Pete cut through the lock and stepped back. I grabbed the handle and pulled. It took me a second to understand what I was looking at. The unit was half empty. Not in the way a storage unit gets when you slowly move things out. In the way one looks when someone has been carefully selecting items and removing them over weeks. The Christmas boxes were still there. The camping gear was still there. But the filing cabinet in the corner was gone. The whole thing. A 4-drawer metal cabinet, just gone. I kept scanning. My grandmother's sewing machine, the one I'd specifically asked Colin to store here because the apartment was too small for it. Gone. A box of jewelry that had belonged to my mother. Gone. "You okay?" Pete asked behind me. "No," I said. I called Colin. Straight to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. I texted him that I was at the storage unit. 3 blue ticks. No response. I stood in that half-empty room and tried to make this make sense. Colin and I had been married for 6 years. We'd been fighting more lately. Money stuff. The kind of slow-burn tension that comes from 2 people wanting different things and neither saying it out loud. But Colin wouldn't steal from me. He was the only other person who had a key. Pete cleared his throat. "Ma'am, I'm not trying to be in your business, but you might want to call the police." I did. An officer came out and took a report. While I was talking to her, Colin finally called back. I let it ring. She listed everything I could identify as missing. Told me I'd need to file a detailed report with estimated values. When she left, I had a case number and no answers. I drove home in silence. Colin's Tacoma was in our parking spot. He was on the couch watching television like it was any other Tuesday evening. "Hey," he said. "How'd the storage thing go?" I put my keys on the counter very slowly. The locksmith recognized you. He didn't say anything. The television kept going. "The filing cabinet is gone. My mother's jewelry is gone. The sewing machine, I can explain." Then explain. He muted the TV. He sat there for a long moment with his hands on his knees. Then he told me he'd been gambling. Online at first, then with guys he met through a coworker. It had started 8 months ago and spiraled faster than he expected. He owed money to people he described as not very patient. He'd started with the filing cabinet because he thought it was just papers. He didn't realize I kept an emergency cash envelope in the second drawer until after he'd handed it over. "The sewing machine," I said. He looked at the floor. It went for $800. My grandmother had brought that machine from overseas. She'd sewn my mother's wedding dress on it. My mother's dress was in a box somewhere in that unit, and I suddenly couldn't remember if I'd seen it there tonight or not. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I sat down at the kitchen table and looked at the man I'd married and tried to locate the person I thought he was. "How much do you owe?" I asked. He told me. I opened my laptop and reported the theft to the police under his name. Then I called my sister and asked if I could stay with her for a while. While Colin watched, I packed a bag. He didn't try to stop me. I think some part of him was relieved. The jewelry was gone for good. The sewing machine had been sold to an antique dealer 2 towns over. I tracked it down and bought it back for $1,100. $300 more than Colin got for it. I put it in my sister's spare bedroom. Pete got a 5-star review.